So let it be written. So let it be done. This is Tabletop Terrors. James, let's generate a monster.
Sounds good.
All right. So I'm using the Toolbox from the Oath of the Frozen King Adventure Kit. You can find the comment. You can find the link in the comments. This is our Kickstarter, and I'm going to jump right in here. This Toolbox section is at the back of the Adventure Kit, which we're going to be talking more about. But we wanted to jump right in and immediately start showing you how you can generate things using this Toolbox, I mean, on the fly, and pretty much tailor it to any game. So here's what we're going to do. The first portion of the monster generator is a simple D100. Now, the D100 table is...
He says simple, but that's not the word he means.
What do I mean?
Simple to... Okay. What does that car dealership website say? Simple to use, easy to master. What is it? It's something like that. It's like
simple to learn, easy to simple to learn.
Years to master.
Years to master.
Something like that. The idea being
that's not what I want to tell people about this.
Guys, it's going to take a long time to master how to use this. No, really what I was trying to get across is the idea that it's simple in style, but it will hopefully give you unlimited monsters to generate.
It's robust. The word I've been using is robust. The buzzy word I'm using is robust. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to roll first. It's a D100 table of monster types from aberration all the way down to undead. And the percentile chance is basically we tailored it to a cold environment so that the things like oozes have a less % chance of being there, but they're on there. But things like undead, based on the theme of the adventure, have more chance being on there. So, all right, so, ooh, a 90. Okay, so it's undead. So the description here, it's a simple descriptor so that it's flavored for the adventure right away. So It's not just like, oh, it's undead. There's a quick text here that says, the tatters of flesh that hang from this shambling creature are frostbitten and worn, with portions of its exposed innards frozen in place.
That's awesome. I have not gotten to that portion in the editing yet, so that's a really cool one to see.
And it can be anything. That could be a minotaur. That could be like we haven't made. That's just undead. It's an undead creature. So automatically,
it's just something undead. And you can go with the normal, like, okay, well, it's got to be a skeleton, or you can stick with something undead, or like you said, an undead something else.
Exactly. So roll me a D10. We're going to talk about this monster's behavior.
That's 10, right?
Yeah.
I rolled it and then I hit it because I'm dumb.
So on the monster behaviors table, this monster is self-serving, and if given the opportunity, would turn on their peers. This creature is loyal to itself above all else and will do whatever is needed to stay alive. So now we've got this undead creature, obviously has some sort of sentience. Now something's starting to take shape. Now, what is a monster without mechanics? I still need to...
Oh, man, I was really hoping you said that other M word that is at the top of that part. You got to scroll up a little bit. What is a monster without a little bit farther.
What is a monster without a motive?
Boom. Mechanics work because it was also an M word.
There's a breakout box that says giving monsters a motive, basically saying, why is this creature here? Who does it serve? What does it want? Answer one or all those questions to inform the monster's behavior. Again, giving it more of a personality so that it's not just a stat block running around.
Because with this adventure kit, this is the toolbox. This is the thing you will go to when you need something, but not necessarily when you like. It's hard to describe, but the idea is if you think, oh man, I need something real quick. All right, undead, boom, minotaur. I don't remember what the second thing you rolled was.
Oh, that was
the
self-serving undead.
A self-serving undead, okay. And it can just sneak up on the players. It can just be waiting for them in a room. It could be somewhere else.
Waiting to parlay. Waiting to make a deal.
So I didn't know where you wanted to.
I think right now let's take a pause.
Okay.
And let's say.
Before we did that, I wanted to bring up something in the chat.
Sure.
Jarl DM, our good friend Lloyd, says, I love watching these dudes talk about stuff like this. Tim is such a salesman. Yeah, Tim could sell an undead Eskimo an ice pop made out of ketchup. If you've ever wanted to see a saying butchered more, we've done 2 so far, and it's only been like 3 minutes.
Never trade wet firewood for the love of a bearded butcher.
Worth 2 in a bush.
We are Tabletop Terrors. We believe that everyone can be more creative, and we use tabletop games to prove it. I'm Tim. This is my brother, James. What do you say we do a Taptarian toast?
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while. I feel like since we
I almost took a sip.
Oh, man.
I know.
I licked my finger. Is that okay? I've tasted the blood of the lamb.
Breaker. All right.
May you mend the first break.
May you kill the first snake.
And may you conquer everything you undertake. Slancha.
I was going to go slancha. I messed it up.
It sounds like you choked on it a little bit.
I did a little bit. I have a sore throat. Slancha.
Oh, yeah.
We are part of Absolute Tabletop, and we are currently in the process of, I don't know, how do you say, putting on a Kickstarter?
Kickstarting.
We're kickstarting our adventure kit.
Interestingly, most of the work comes before when you're making the product. Like doing the Kickstarter, you have to write updates and a few other things. And obviously, we are still editing and working on stretch goals that we've already unlocked. But it's a little bit of like, man, 30 days is a long time when you're waiting for your own Kickstarter to end.
It's true. It's really true. We are kickstarting something that's called an adventure kit. Essentially, what an adventure kit is, we like to say that it's everything you need and nothing that you don't in terms of adventure creation. It's a very modular creation. It's a book that you can use that has some NPCs, some locations, some encounters, and we give you cool ways to quickly put those things together in any way you want, any style you want.
Exactly. It's what we call the RPG sweet spot between, your own simple prep notes of, oh, okay, well, I want to do this, this, and this, and a full, adventure, maybe even an adventure path from Wizards. I mean, you get that book and you're like, all right, well, I've got to read these, 150 pages. Right. Maybe you could get away with reading just some of the beginning, but with adventure kits, we give you an overview and you can skip around and you can really build an adventure, like a whole session in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And have it, beginning to end. These are the rooms. These are the encounters. These are the NPCs. These are the NPCs' motives. This is what's going to happen. This is their goal. All of those things.
In bite-sized pieces that you can slide around anywewhere.
Exactly. So not only does it give you everything you need to make an adventure, but you could do the same thing the next night. And while in that case, if it was the same group, some of it might seem familiar because it's an icy place where the Frozen King lives.
Sure.
But everything about it would be different.
Exactly. I think that the analogy that our buddy Matt Click came up with, he's part of Absolute Tabletop and one of the writers of this kit with us, is it's like a model kit. We give you these pieces, but you assemble it with inspirational glue. And the way that you decide to assemble it can be different every time. Our buddy Jarl DM, who's in the chat, ran this as a vampire game. He ran it as a cyberpunk thriller. So as a Viking game, because the pieces are there. So we're not going to spoil the locations, the encounters, and those things, because we want people, when they get the book, to be able to run this without there being a diatribe online of every breakdown of every piece of that. But what we're doing today is going over the Toolbox. I almost said kit. I
think we went back and forth when we were originally making the book of Toolbox and Toolkit. So there's still a little bit of residue of Toolbox kit.
Tools.
It's the tool belt,
it's
everybody.
The tool belt. But what we want to show you is that if you just flip to this section, you could really go through and get the seeds for encounters, adventures. And at some point, we're going to show you a method we put in the book to randomly rolling a dungeon in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, like we have sort of a few different ways you can use the book, and it's doing it this way, go to this section first or that. The last method is completely random, roll these dice, do these things, a few clever things Tim came up with, and you basically have a dungeon, like you said, in 10 minutes. You just, you give your life up to this random generator.
It's awesome.
And you decide what the adventure is.
It's really cool. So let's jump back in and finish generating this monster really quickly, because in the toolbox, one of the things is that, and I think I might screen share just so that everyone can kind of see quickly, the way that the mechanics are laid out. It's cool to think of thematic things, but for me, coming up with mechanical challenges that are of the level of my players is what takes me the longest.
Yeah.
So I want the shortcut there. I can come up with the cool stuff, but what level are they? What's their proficiency bonus? How much should I hit them for? How deadly should this thing be? Those things. I have to do a little more homework.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm going to try to do a screen share here. Whoa! What you're looking at is a sneak peek into the toolbox of the adventure kit. Now you'll see here all this stuff we have that we rolled on, this monster generator, it had the monster's appearance, and as you see, we had everything. Like, had we rolled construct, it would be the dark stone that this creature is hewn from was taken from the maw of black ice itself.
Exactly. And so something I want to touch on is this toolbox will be very similar in future adventure kits, but the idea is it's kind of like you know what you're getting, but the bits will be a little bit different.
Exactly. That description, were we to do it in a sandy region, would probably talk more about, like, you know, this construct was crafted from the stones of a pyramid.
Exactly. So to put it simply, we're not going to, in the next adventure kit, say, try to come up with new monster types. The monster types are the same. They're all the ones you know, aberrations and constructs and other ones that are not on the screen anymore.
Sorry, I scrolled.
No, it's good. But
I scrolled and you were trying to sound all smooth and I scrolled, and I'm sorry.
But the idea being, exactly, some of it will be the same, but the parts that will add to, you know, the fact that this is an icy region, the fact that it was hewn from stuff in the maw of black ice where this takes place allows you to randomly generate stuff for this adventure without it being like, oh, well, somehow I rolled dragon and this dragon is from, you know, somewhere that's not even around here.
Exactly.
So it's just, this is something that Tim and I, a long time ago, have been trying to tackle for years in various ways. A quote-unquote random generator that allows you to put things together in a way that still makes sense.
Yes.
Rather than just like literally getting from all four corners of the universe, like, oh, I got a dragon that works in a workshop who speaks with an Irish accent. I'm like,
and you're like, what? And there are some cool generators online that will do this. Before you know it, it's like, there's a dire badger with a wounded leg. And you're like, what? 2 vampires with a skeleton white. And you're like, what?
It's Mad Libs for D&D. So we were trying to make sure that our random generators don't break down into Mad Libs for D&D.
Exactly. So and if you're looking at this, we went ahead and did the appearance. These are monster behaviors. You know, they're a coward, they're overconfident, they're a zealot. So that you can give this monster specific behaviors. Now you can skip all this.
Yeah, but so far we have an undead monster that has a self-serving attitude.
Yes.
And then there was one more thing on there that I guess now that we showed them, we can't not do the optional effect.
The optional effect I read out loud. I didn't
Oh, okay,
call it.
perfect. Yeah.
Basically, just if you want to give it an actual mechanical effect, these aren't like literal crunchy mechanics, but for instance, it gives you what they'll do. So for unshakable and will not retreat, no matter how dire the odds, this creature will fight ferociously until its last breath. If everyone else runs away, this creature won't.
Exactly. To me, it's like what Wizards did in 5th edition with inspiration and with the 4 things that are on the right side of the character sheet: the flaws, the bonds, the ideals.
Oh, right. Exactly.
They kind of put light mechanics to narrative things. It's the same thing where you're not like, oh, what would this monster do? You're just like, oh, actually, I have an attitude really in mind for this because I rolled on it.
Yeah.
He'll never run away no matter what happens.
Well, and then here's the opposite: a coward and will surrender at the first opportunity. This creature must succeed a will save or flee at the first sight of blood.
And it's just enough mechanics that you go, okay, well, let's see what he does. You know, it's like, it's almost outside of your hands as the GM.
Exactly.
Just enough that you're like, I wonder what's going to happen. I love that.
Right. And so, you know, we write all this in Google Docs. So what you're seeing here is this will be edited and put onto actual pages. But look at the quick monster stats here. What we've done is taken, if you look from a minion all the way up to a nemesis, there are various power levels. Now, these aren't literal in the book, but there are various power levels that Wizards of the Coast has pretty much set out based on challenge ratings, the number of hit points, the armor class. And if you look at the challenge ratings that go from 1 to, say, let's stay around 20, these things that we have here are a very easy, high-level way to do that quickly. So if I want a nemesis, if I want this thing to be like a boss, the beauty of the bounded accuracy system of 5th edition D&D is that it doesn't matter what level the adventurers are. These things, because of bounded accuracy, will always stay the same. What changes are the monster damage by adventurer level. So if you want to dial it up, what is considered a minion to a 1st to 4th level adventurer is very different than what a minion is to a 17th or 20th level adventurer. So if I want to take this creature and say, well, I want him to be, actually, there's a roll table here just in case you want to go super random. So why don't you roll me a D8?
For some reason, I thought that's a D6. So I was looking for the wrong one. This is a D8. I thought I grabbed the D10. 6.
So a 6. So this is a Vanguard monster, which means the hit points are 33 to 66. the armor class is 12 to 15, and the attack bonus is +6 to +8. Now, that doesn't mean every time. It means choose a number in that range, and that's your monster. Now, this is not a roll table unless you want to go old school feel and have dangerous Dark Souls style monsters roaming around that could potentially kill the party.
Like in one hit, like you said, yeah, like, oh boy.
But specifically, this is like, okay, let's say it's the game I was running for Nicholas and Lloyd on the channel. I ran Oath of the Frozen King as an improv game to see how it would work. And they were 5th level. So to me, this Vanguard over here would be 14 to 16.
I just want to get in front of this. I say Vanguard, and you say Vanguard like it's a guy standing out in front of a paneled van, like you can't come in here.
Vanguard.
I have to say it. Vanguard the Obliviosa.
Okay.
I just wanted to be on the same page that we say it differently,
absolutely.
and then I do not consort with people of his kind.
Consort with. I love that.
Sometimes might do videos, but.
So here's what I want to do. If this has been interesting so far, the stream isn't over, but if you've even had an inkling like, wow, that would be a useful tool, that's just one part. And we're going to go through.
Yeah, that is like the least Oath of the Frozen King part of this. This is like the extra stuff. This is the cream on top.
Exactly. We have things that we have created and crafted, partially using some of these generators, also generating encounters and things that we have put together that make a cohesive adventure. But this toolbox, if you are enjoying this toolbox, click the link in the comments and consider throwing us a pledge. I think that the toolbox alone is a very helpful tool to get the game going and to inspire you.
One of my favorite things when I buy books and supplements, specifically the one I want to go with, in this case, this is the last time this happened really to me, was I bought Volo's Guide. A little after it came out, I got on Amazon. I didn't expect to buy it, but it was cheaper than I thought, and it seemed cool. A lot of my friends were talking about it. And that's what I love, is I didn't use Volo's Guide for like, oh, I'm going to, I want it because it's got this in it. I kind of didn't know what it had or what it was going to have.
Right.
So I looked in there, and I just love those things where I'm like, oh, okay, I could use that. Like just sucking up those little bits of information to use later, whether I realize they came from Volo's Guide or not. They're just in my brain now.
Right.
That, to me, is what the toolbox is. You could be running any adventure and be like, oh, man, you know what? I'm just going to break open the toolbox and have it open, or, flip to that page in my adventure kit while I'm at the table, just so that if I need to come up with a monster, I can just have that real quick. It has nothing to do with Frozen King or ice or anything. Just like, oh, I need an undead self-serving Minotaur that does this much damage, has this motive, and you can use it anytime.
I was going to say, if you even wanted to go to let's say you pick a monster out of the monster manual, you could still go to this table and roll on the monster behaviors and say, well, this creature is, and here's the optional effect. So it's a gnoll, but it's been press ganged to fight against their will, rattled and unskilled. And the effect is, unless it succeeds a will save at the beginning of combat, it attacks at disadvantage because it doesn't want to be there.
Press ganged is just one of my favorite words
It's
ever.
A cool word. I chose it because I was like, this is a cool word. This is an underused gem.
It really is.
So what do you say we go to the chat?
I was going to say the same thing because I also wanted to say that something we needed to talk about was people are congratulating us on hitting $10,000 today.
Yes.
Which I think it was today. It might have been yesterday when we messed up and a bunch of people changed their pledges because they love us. But so I wanted to say first, thank you to the people in the chat that are congratulating us on hitting $10,000. That is really cool. We released we thawed the next stretch goal.
Yes.
Which is the isometric super map. I actually have not seen that graphic yet. I didn't realize it was called that.
It is the isometric super map.
Love that it's that.
By John Pintar, actually, who, if you're not familiar with John Pintar, if you go to absolutetabletop.com, he did the Stone Rift map.
That is the best example, I think, of a map he's done that this will be relatively similar to. It'll be that detailed and that awesome looking.
And so we've already been working with John on some of the details of what this dungeon is going to look like. Now, of course, you can randomize it, but we thought it would be cool and it would add value if there was a set specific order of cool rooms inside things. So essentially, one of the things that the isometric map will be good for is you could take it and just draw, like if you printed it or used it, in a digital format, put, okay, this location, I'll make this.
Exactly.
So we're not going to label things of this is this, this is this. It's just going to be a cool isometric dungeon with a lot of cool rooms so that you can say, oh, this would be really cool to put the kennel
Yeah.
You know, or this will be really cool to put this or that. So you can
to
still
some
use it.
degree, for me, it will just be an inspirational thing. To be like, this is one of the many permutations that it could be, you know, in general. It'll just be really cool to see and give you an idea to put that in the book and say, listen, flip to this page to get an idea of the tone. If, you know, you're looking for even more inspiration about what this could look like and other things.
Exactly. So thank you. The only reason why we reached $10,000 is because of you, because of incredible backers. In fact, Jarl DM had a really good quote in there. Did you see what he said?
I was going to say, I went all the way back up because
he said, seriously, get on this. This is the most impressed I've been with an RPG product in a long time. And I appreciate that.
That does mean a lot because
he's a man of strong taste.
Well, and strong opinions, I would say. If he didn't like it, he wouldn't say that. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
He'd have some choice words for us if it were, I imagine he'd use the word shite.
Yeah.
I think that's legal, right?
Lloyd he's an honest guy, is the bottom line. If he doesn't like something, he will rationally tell you why he doesn't like it. So it's a discussion. So it's good to be on the receiving end of a compliment from someone you know is very honest.
Exactly. Mini terrain domain, Jake, and like I said, we're going way back. You just said the Frozen King is undead. Long live the Frozen King.
Swear your oath.
Matt Lennington asked if it really said innards in that description, and I told him in the chat, but I feel this is worth reiterating, that it does in fact say frozen innards.
Of course.
Which is great.
In fact, I will scroll to it and screen share.
And in fact, Lloyd, also Jarl DM, said, motives are vital. The Numenera bestiary has motives as well as interactions for each monster, and that's what makes the book so great. That's awesome, because I didn't know that. But still, that is the sort of thing that makes it easier to come up with a monster and know why they're there and what they're doing, rather than a skeleton wanders by because of reasons. Just isn't as good. Jeremy Lilly says, Gaelic Storm is a sweet band. Thank you. I love this shirt. I just went to see them recently.
That actually brings me to this. I want to thank our great friends at d20regalia.com for giving me this sweet swag. Check out D20 Regalia and absolutely buy one of their shirts. They're super, super cool. This is very comfortable. It's that really high quality, like thick plastic. This isn't, I don't know what this is called.
I do, well, actually.
It's not like printed on. It's like,
I don't know enough about shirts, guys. But this is like real thin, and I actually love that it's thin, but still. Okay, but there were a lot of things. Oh, okay, RPG Construct, which they said reskinning is so easy with it. We have had a playtest of Oath of the Frozen King out, and some people have seen, you know, a partly finished product of this when we were making changes and doing a few things. So a few people have used it. If you see them in the chat saying it was great, know that they're not crazy. They have actually seen the product.
I was just going to show D20 Regalia. You know, some of these here. This is the one I have. But they're just cool. The quality is great. This is after one wash, and I like that it didn't shrink into nothing. It kind of kept its form, and it's still very comfortable. So
it's also Superman colors. I don't know if that matters.
That is super on purpose, and it does matter to me in a good way.
Oh, the product on the website is called Super Dice, which I get now. That was, like you said, that wasn't a mistake.
So we are currently, we essentially randomly generated a monster, or showed how the random generator could help you generate a monster this fast. There are other things in there so that each monster can be different. We won't go too deep into it, but essentially there are monster buffs. It's a simple D10 table of regeneration, resistances, things like a focus, which simply just says give the monster advantage on one kind of check with an ability or skill, so that they appear dexterous, strong, intelligent.
Exactly.
It's a very quick way to slap it together and have a monster like that.
And you can, so one of them has a fly speed, and it's so simple that, okay, you know that mechanic, but that mechanic in your brain now, it does two things. It tells you what it will do in combat, or just if it's encountered in general, it's going to fly. And two, it gives you an idea of like both mechanics, and you describe how it flies. Like, okay, if you roll and it's kind of a weird one, you're like, oh man, this Minotaur has a fly speed. Suddenly you've created a unique Minotaur that either has a magical spell that makes it fly. Right. So I'm thinking like Minotaur Demi-Lich, because this thing's undead and its innards are coming out.
I'm imagining now there's just upper torso only, and the frozen innards dragging Frozen on the ground, just like things like right there. There's a huge adventure twist. If you run that, it's not going to be the same with the Frozen King as if I run an aberration or plants or oozes, you know.
Like we talked about, some of the parts of the toolbox will change, but some will not. And that was something we really wanted to sort of tell people is it's not going to be 100% different every single time because certain things you can't change, like we talked about. Certain things you just can't come up with more monster types. There are the amount of monster types that there are, and they've literally been crafted in such a way that they cover everything.
Exactly.
So every toolbox is going to have that, but the descriptions where they matter will be different.
Exactly. So as you pull up more of the chat, I wanted to pull up the encounter generator and start showing you how, even if you use none of the pre-made encounters in the book, or even locations, theoretically, you could come here to the encounter generator in the toolbox, and you could roll up room after room. If you wanted to do a gonzo sort of dungeon crawl, so what I want to do is I want to roll up 2 encounters back to back and just show them how wildly different they can be and how combining these things, you can just add room after room without ever touching the core part of the kit.
Okay, so can we real quick address a question that somebody had?
Sure.
That I think I want to go even further.
Absolutely.
Matthew Gibbons asked, is there an NPC generator? And to that question, I wanted to instead go over everything that is in the toolbox, just a real quick, not saying this is how you do it, but there's a this, a this, a this, a this.
Sure.
Does that sound good?
That sounds good to me.
Is there anything we're not telling people? I just didn't want to start reading them and you're like, we're not doing that yet. Nothing.
Here's the thing.
Right?
I'll just cover that with this whitewash. All this is subject to change, but for the better.
Okay, yeah.
So we're probably not going to cut anything, but if we do, it's because something else better is serving the purpose, or we'll roll stuff in and cannibalize it, frozen cannibalize it.
So we're just basically going to, I'd say, go down and like go over headers. Not even, you don't even have to go in depth about what they are because they'll be relatively obvious.
I'm super down with that.
So to give you guys an idea of what's in the toolbox from beginning to end, this thing is, how many pages is this?
The toolbox alone
17
is,
pages.
Yeah, it's almost 20 pages. Now that'll scale down because a lot of it is tables.
Yeah, tables.
And in a Google Doc, a table is like, it can be the size of a page.
Or like a list. You know, if everything is listed, it can be made smaller in a table, whereas the list is long. So, but still, 17 pages in like 12-point font. So for each one, thematic phrases.
Yep.
Features and dressings, and hazards.
Yep.
Common items and loot.
Yep.
Trinkets.
Love me some trinkets.
And all of those are, you know, like that's like, okay, during the adventure you just need something real quick.
Yep.
You just go to that and you roll on it. You can pick, but they're all roll tables of D20, D6, D10, various things. So you're like, oh, I just need an X, and you just do it.
You drop it in.
Then there's the encounter generator, which we're gonna get to. We're gonna do one,
which has 3 separate parts to it.
Yeah, 3 different things. Which,
so
like I said,
it's
we'll
the
cover
encounter
that.
terrain, the features, and the events.
There's the monster generator we went over that has both the generator and then the sort of rough idea of, okay, this is what a minion, a skirmisher, a vanguard, and a nemesis are.
So it's like the flavor and then the mechanics.
A few thematic monsters, which I guess actually didn't even see that.
We just essentially, for most of the generators, we threw in some pre-generated stuff that's quick. Hey, here's a frost orc. Here's a goblin stalker.
That's another example of some parts of the generator won't change. That'll be exactly the same in the next adventure kit, but the pre-generated ones will be different because these are like, oh, kind of icy ones, whereas the other ones will be fiery ones or whatever. And
that's to future-proof adventure kit so that this information stays valuable. If you buy one set in a forest, it's not just
the same
20
pages.
Right. Yeah. It's like, hey, here goes some cool forest inspiration.
There is a skill challenge generator,
which is cool.
With, again, a few thematic skill challenges of the same idea. A trap generator, which, like I said, I'm like, some of this I'm still working on editing, and this is at the end, so I'm like, some of this has grown a lot since the last time I've seen it. Let's put it that way. An NPC generator to, in the most roundabout way possible, answer your question, Matthew. I'm sorry, but it's at the end of it.
That should.
I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, but then inside, the NPC generator is just really robust because I'm like, oh, there's this and this. So yes, to your question, but that is sort of an overview of all of the things you'll expect to see in the adventure kit toolbox.
Yep, and all of them, like I said, there's a core at as far as what they are, but they're skinned so that no matter what you're using, you don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting to say, oh, well, I need to reskin dirt to ice. No, we've done all that. Exactly. So in future kits, it's especially, let's go ahead and generate an encounter, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the first thing, and again, the coolest thing to me about these generators in the kit, they're hyper modular. You don't have to generate this and then go down and, you need this to generate this.
Oh, you need this. And it's not like a bunch of like branches and like, oh, well, wait, what did I do before?
Nope.
I'm like,
everything you
gotta
need.
do algebra.
And nothing that you don't. X equals scratch
X
one of
equals
these
this
tables.
encounter. I don't know. So are we going to do an NPC?
Yeah, but
No, that's cool. Matthew said, he asked a question about NPCs. We're going to get to NPCs, Matthew, and we'll cover that more. He asked, could you do an enemy in the game using the tables that is like a nemesis in Shadow of Mordor? We will cover that when we get to NPCs.
Yes.
We want to do an encounter.
Absolutely.
But the answer to that is yes. And it's going to be cool. Trust me, you'll love it. But
I'll say this in betwixt all of this. One of the best ways to get results that will really fit your game perfectly is to combine things. Why not combine the NPC stuff with a little bit of the monster stuff? Marry that together. As far as the encounter generator, take some of the thematic dressing and some of the trinkets. Like, this stuff is all meant to be a huge buffet, and you just go, you know what? I usually don't like bourbon chicken at a buffet because it's like, that's what you get when you're getting one plate of stuff because it's safe. Even terrible Chinese food places, like, okay, the bourbon chicken's probably all right. But today I feel like it because you can, and this is
because it goes really good with this brown rice I found at the other side. I thought that's where you were going with that. Like, you got to mix it in. Like,
I kind of was.
Yeah. So, all right.
So D20. Roll me a D20.
I'm really not going to interrupt you this time about something that isn't an encounter, unless I drop the die. Solid 20. This is the first time I've rolled this one.
So for the terrain, it's essentially saying faded letters carved into the frozen floor spell out a clue. All right. So that's the terrain. So the floor, I'm imagining. And immediately I'm thinking, all right, I want to make it so that perhaps this was done by a large creature. So the engraving isn't small and in the center. It makes up the makeup of the room. So there's a 3 to 5 foot drop anywhere there's this huge carving.
Oh, cool. And it's like,
boom.
You kind of, okay, so here's what I would do. You say that to the players and you kind of drop clues as they're maybe looking around this room. You generate a trinket that they find. And then you realize maybe that there's stairs up or somebody has a fly spell or spider climb. And it occurs to them, this is some sort of text.
Yep.
We need to get higher to look at it. And then you give them the clue as to what it is.
Boom.
Oh,
so
man.
That's just right there. That's just the first table. Now let's roll some features. So hit me with another D20. Ha, you actually did. That's mine.
I have a lot of them. You don't have to get
that. 10. All right. So on the encounter features table, it's an overflowing water channel, now entirely frozen, creating an odd walkway. So that's your stairway up to see the letters.
Perfect.
I think that the ground itself I would make covered in a sheet of ice, but the deep carvings that are the actual letters or the glyphs, whatever, are deeper, darker ice.
Okay, yeah.
So if they climb this sort of weird stairway, they can see that it's permafrost letters with like the ice on the stone.
Exactly. So in my mind, if this is the way, like out of the room, or we see an exit up there, maybe they don't notice the letters. And as a GM, you're trying not to hit them over the head with it. So they go up and you get a perception check. And somebody looks down and they see something that looks a little bit like maybe, that might be dwarven lettering. So, hey, run down there and, there's some snow, like snowdrift a little bit on the floor. And you're like, oh, we got to see what this says. And of course, it probably says something terribly sinister.
Exactly.
So somebody rolled a 15, but we didn't see that too late.
I'll tell you what it was. So if that was a 15, it would have said a large pit full of deadly frozen stalagmites.
So that was Eric, for your 15 that you rolled. That is what we got.
So again, the way that we're doing this is all inspirational. So how does the glyphs fit in with the stalagmites? Well, now I'm starting to think this is a trap. So then my head goes to trap. Well, now I just scroll down to the trap generator.
And see, you can pick them out, or you can do the same thing. You roll, you roll a couple, and you're like, okay, how do I make this kill my players? No,
exactly. So the final thing, if you did want things to get crazy, so if you're familiar with like Drunken and Dragons, he has the timer where something happens. For us, these are encounter events. Now these are totally optional, but if it's been 2-3 rounds, things are kind of getting crazy. Because there's no creatures in this encounter.
Yeah, exactly. If things are, you said getting crazy, but you mean like if they're slowing down, if your pace is, well, I'm just saying.
What I mean is, if things are slowing down, or you're right. I meant the opposite. If things are getting stagnant,
exactly. People are like they're like, oh, I don't understand, and you're trying, like I said, you're not trying to hit them over the head.
A better word. It's like if you're like, okay, another fight with a goblin. Oh, here you go, boom.
Exactly.
This is a D100 table. So why don't you roll me a D100, which is 2 D10s for anyone watching who you're not familiar.
Or a big old D100 that rolls around forever and it's just terrible.
It looks like a
Oh,
glass
somebody
eye.
said stream freeze. Uh-oh. Hopefully that's just for Matthew. Guys, is the stream still working? Because we're still talking. Oh, fixed now, he says. All right. 13.
All right, so a 13 says something susceptible flash freezes. And so what that means is that essentially in the room, there's this puzzle. Now again, stalagmites, glyphs on the floor, something flash freezes. I'm seeing trap all over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Trap is oh, okay, somebody said it's working here. I love that. But here's the thing. It's as simple as something susceptible flash freezes. Now, to me, in this basically ice cave, most of the stuff is already frozen. So something susceptible, to me, I'm looking at my players.
Sure.
If one of them has a cape, if one of them has, it could be anything. I mean, I wouldn't go for like weapon, because then they drop it and it explodes and you're like, well, that's a little unfair. Maybe don't go crazy with it. But the idea that they're kind of milling around, they're looking at it, like you said, things have gotten boring. Maybe they're just trudging up these stairs and suddenly, you know, somebody's loot, just like LUTE, like the thing they play music on, flash freezes. And you're like, somebody notices it. And then it's like, well, you could either just let that happen and like foreshadow the junk out of it, or then a monster crashes it, like anything. You just decide, but it just see how your players react to that and kind of play off them.
Exactly. And that's what this is great for, is again, you can use any part of this encounter generator while you're playing one of the regular encounters and you just want to spice it up.
Or if you're just playing any regular encounter that happens to be an ice, you know, we're going to come out with a lot of these that will have a lot of different ones.
So what I want to do is encourage you, if this seems interesting to you, if you guys want to, I probably should have been screen sharing that whole time. So what I'll screen share this time.
I've got a few chat things here.
All right, because what I was going to say is that as we do the encounter generator, I want to encourage you, if you guys and girls, if this interests you at all, check out the link in the comments. Go pledge your oath to the Frozen King now. You can pledge for as little as $1, all the way up to $50 and own our entire supplement library.
That was what I wanted to go over. So somebody rolled a 25, so I'm going to read that to them.
Sure.
Platform of blades bursts from the floor. So I'm like, that's even better for this one, you know, these glyphs, and people are looking at it, and maybe some of them are on the stairs while somebody's on the ground, and that's your trap. Just blades, like it's a trap.
While you do the chat, what I want to do is I want to flash roll, boom, boom, boom.
Okay, but before we do that,
so I'm going to roll 2
something
D20s.
I wanted to do earlier is, and I think this is very important.
Sure.
We should tell people what the pledge levels are real quick so that they know what they're getting for what price.
In fact, I think I can go to the page.
I'm pretty sure.
Over it while you.
Well, so basically, Tim said you can back for $1. What $1 gets you is you help us out, and we are doing a private live stream after this thing backs. That will be for everyone that pledged anything at all.
Yep, that's called Trapped Under Ice.
So $1, Trapped Under Ice, our undying thanks, and link to the private live stream where Tim, me, I pointed to me when I said Tim. My name's not Tim. Tim and I, as well as Matt Click and Barker from the other 2 people that are at Absolute Tabletop, we will all be doing a stream, thanking people, maybe doing cool stuff, talking about stuff. Who knows? We're going to decide what to do, but it's going to be a really cool live stream for backers only. Then $10, the Oath Sworn, that gets you the same thing, your link to the private live stream, as well as the full color PDF and the printer friendly PDF, as well as one more thing that is Kickstarter exclusive, which is a small production diary. Yes. You're going to get stuff written by us about the production of it, maybe something about Kickstarter, some cool sketches from some of the artists. So you get to see kind of how the art evolved, maybe what the first, the original cover was, stuff like that.
Exactly. And we're going to put notes in there. So we'll put in probably in a cool handwriting font of like notes of like, we started with this and then ended up with this, or this section was this, but then we decided to change it to this for more usability. Now, as he said, that's exclusive to Kickstarter, so that after the Kickstarter is over, you can still get the PDF, color and printer friendly. You can still get your softcover copy of Frozen King, but it will not have the production diary pages in the back.
Exactly.
We don't know exactly how long it'll be, maybe 4 pages, something that's good and meaty and is fun to look through.
Exactly, but it'll just be a little extra for the people that backed us on Kickstarter.
Yep.
For $25, you'll get all the same stuff, but $25 is the first pledge level where you get the physical soft cover book. So again, you get the PDF and our undying thanks. You get to go to the live stream, but we also give you the PDFs as well as the print copy of the book. So, we'll mail that to your house wherever you are. We actually recently it used to be $10 shipping for international backers, whereas, you know, $25 for, and if you lived inside the US, it was free shipping, just $25. That was it. You got your book sent to you. We've since changed because we had a little hiccup. International backers, it's the same. So if your fear of international shipping, which I know can be very expensive sometimes, is what was stopping you from getting the physical copy, know that now, even at the $25 level, shipping is completely free for international backers. It's just the $25 and you get it. You want to do the $35 one? Because I talked a lot.
Oh, that's fine. So the $35 one, which includes everything he mentioned for the pledges before, the thing that gets added is you, in addition to the soft cover book, there are two things that are added to this pledge level. You get your name inside the book, which I know is a cool thing. When I back, I like to do that level because it just feels cool to have your name as a part of someone who brought it to life. We're still considering, we're not sure. Jarl DM actually had a good point, and he said, you know, it'd be cool if the people who pledged at higher levels, when they get their name inside the book, perhaps they get it under a different category. So it'll be like Frozen Kings and then like Frozen Knights or whatever it is. But
cooler stuff than that. Right. Because there's only one Frozen King. And we all know that. Tim just forgot for a minute.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It'll be Frozen Kings. So, no.
Frozen Kings of Leon.
Whoa! You also get a world building supplement that on its own, I believe, is worth $20. It's called Be a Better Campaign Master. It's 130 plus pages. You
also,
get a PDF.
Also a book by Absolute Tabletop.
Yeah.
To be clear.
I hope that would be clear.
Well, maybe we partner with someone. You know, I'm like, I don't know. We
partnered with ourselves. So you get our, it's probably safest. We get our world building supplement, which those are the two things for the $35 pledge level. Everything that you heard, plus the PDF of Be a Better Campaign Master, as well as your name inside the book. The final one, which I think is the absolute best value.
Yeah, no question here.
It's $50, but it's Frozen King Reborn. Private live stream, production diary, soft cover book, as well as PDFs and your name inside. But instead of just getting Be a Better Campaign Master, you get 17 of our supplements in PDF format. So you have things like Be a Better Weapon Master, The Convocation, a Cookbook of the Realms, which is a real cookbook, The Adventure, Misty Meadow, Horror at Misty Meadows, The Copper Jackals, Sewers Under Sandwall, et cetera, et cetera. All of these are included.
Yeah, so while this is our first Kickstarter, we have written, created, and published 17 books before this, and you will get all of those at the $50 pledge level, which the bundle is available on our website, but it's a little more expensive doing it that way. So for those of you that may have just discovered us, or for some people that just want to support us, I guess, they can get that one, and that allows them to not only get Oath of the Frozen King, but get all of those.
Exactly.
Somebody did ask, and I don't know that we have a solid question to this, but Matthew asked. That's part of why we brought this up.
No, that's fine. While you do that, I'm going to speed generate an encounter.
Okay, yeah, well, you're going to do it. Well,
like,
I'll need your help. I know.
Okay, well, then let me do that real quick.
Okay, do that, and then we'll answer.
So this is how quickly we can do it. Since there are 2 D20 roll tables and a D100 table, this is how quickly we can generate an encounter. Now, all right, so the first one is a 14.
On a D20.
All right.
I don't know if that matters.
Thick, knee-high snow. This encounter is, there are glowing veins of magically potent minerals. And there are doors that seal themselves with magical ice. Boom. That fast. That gets you started. What does that mean to you? So that's my challenge. In the comments below, what does that mean to you? Tell me what encounter that is, what ideas you have, how you would use that in your game. And now I'm ready to help you.
That was fast.
Yeah. Yeah. You want me to do another one?
No.
Because I can.
I know. But I think we need, okay. Well,
I won't.
Don't look at these.
But you know.
So, basically, this is going to be a little bit unofficial because I don't know that we've made exact decisions, but we can give some maybes here. The idea is Matthew asked, I think, basically, when is this thing going to be ready and when am I going to get it? And specifically, because it's a digital product, the idea is, that's a lot quicker than shipping. So I wanted to just real quick talk about rough, don't quote us on this timeline of when they're going to get this stuff.
Sure. The promised delivery date is October, which is actually extremely fast for a Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah.
So
man.
The idea is that our process, because we have done this 17 times, is to get a digital copy finished and sent out, because it is the best way to check for layout errors and typos. Things that, I mean, there's 4 of us and we proofread this thing 100 times as we're writing it, the editing phase, and even during layout. But there are things we miss, double copy paste, things like that.
Just little stuff that we don't love seeing in the book, sending to, you know, 200 some odd people knowing that they have a typo in their book.
But it's part of the printing process. I mean, Wizards of the Coast has typos in their books.
Yeah.
It's just
all those guys.
It's almost, I'm not going to say it is unavoidable, but it is virtually impossible to avoid.
For our company, it's impossible to avoid.
For any, right.
Based on the fact that we have had a typo in every single PDF that has gone out. Exactly. And it's gone, you know, we had a lot of typos and it's gone down to fewer typos, but there's always something that can be made a little bit better.
Exactly.
We don't chance it.
So with that said, we plan on having you your physical copies by October or sooner, but there's a very high probability that you will get your PDF copies earlier than that, specifically so that we can spot anything and make sure that it is a flawless product before we send it out to you. Another part of our process that's very important to us is we get a sample copy of the book sent to us to comb over for quality assurance before we put the stamp on it of, yes, print them all.
Exactly.
That process, so building that process in, as well as the proofreading of the digital processes, to me, there are no promises, but it would be a great thing if you had your PDF copy of this book sometime in September.
Exactly. And so that's the important part, is the moment the PDF is done, everybody will be able to get it.
Yes.
We will also then begin selling it. So the idea is everybody will have access to the book the moment it's ready. Actually, I mean, that may not be true, but still, well, either way, the idea yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I want to say something very important, is that we are going to, we're going to make a copy of the playtest, which is what we've been looking at, available to every backer as soon as this thing funds, unless that's changing.
No, I didn't. I had forgotten about that. Yeah. So that said, you'll be able to play with it a lot earlier, but because it's digital, you'll have very fast access to it.
And give us feedback if you so choose.
But the other thing I wanted to cover was, because the other books that we have, specifically the $35 pledge level comes with one of our digital books, and the $50 pledge level comes with all of our digital books. Our plan is very shortly after this funds, you know, successfully, is to be able to get you those. And we will have to decide how you want them. We will be able to doing it through our website, maybe giving, you know, allowing people to redeem them on DriveThruRPG if that's where we want to do it. Another place we sell. We had to work out some logistics, but the idea is everything digital will come to you the moment it's done, because there's no reason to stop.
Yes.
To slow that down. So as far as the full bundle of all of our supplements, as well as Campaign Master, you'll get those fairly quickly. And like Tim said, when we're ready to release the supplement, everybody will, get it in relatively short order because it's digital.
Yes. And so
I just wanted to cover that real quick.
And it's important to us throughout this whole process that everything is of the highest quality and the best value to you. We are gamers ourselves, and we want to make sure that when we deliver the book, it's a book that we would use at our table as is, and that we're proud of as developers. We've had a lot of questions about the NPCs. Do you want to generate an NPC?
I think we should, yeah.
I think that'd be a great idea. And I know Matthew was asking some questions about it, so this would be a great opportunity, I think, to see that sort of in action. So we'll go ahead and I'll screen share. Dude, XSplit is acting so weird with me switching scenes. It's going. That's why I'm not doing the shift. Normally, I try to make it so that you don't get the weird.
Oh yeah, you try to use the.
It's not. I just updated it, and it's being a little weird. But all right, what you're looking at is the NPC generator. So we have obviously there's some things not filled in. This is a play test, and it's not finished.
Oh, yeah,
it's mostly finished.
Somebody made a joke. It's all a part of their master plan, outsourcing proofreading and playtesting to us. That's literally exactly our master plan. We learned that no matter how many times we read it, the moment a book releases, somebody finds a typo. Like, no question. And we're like, I looked at that page like 10 times.
Because your eye just looks right over it. And,
so you're absolutely right. Part of the playtest process for this will be certainly typos. I mean, we want to, at every stage we can, eliminate typos because we know that a couple are going to sneak through, but we really love not having them in print books. That's very important to us. Exactly. No promises you're going to find one. Sure. Now that I've said that, but you're right. It's a great way to do it. People love reading it, so why not?
Exactly. So give me a D12 about the NPC personality.
Like D12 World with Eminem?
Yes.
Why can't I find a D12?
Because you have those game science dice, and it's hard to...
One, yeah, no, I had. They're all different colors and stuff.
Duty-driven, but paranoid and untrusting.
So, the NPC generator starts out with personality. I don't know exactly, but basically...
Give me an appearance.
We help you generate... What are we, D12?
Yep.
We help you generate some of the stuff and then allow you, 11, to come up with the other certain other details that are kind of the part that tailors it to you.
Right.
So 11 on appearance.
Which is an elf. And then give me another D12 if you want to...
Yeah, we'll mix it up. 8, the one... Oh, no.
There's nothing there, so I'll go under it with a pockmarked face and a slim figure.
So already you've got an idea of who this person is.
Boom.
Like immediately, if people are just like, oh, is there a Fletcher in the town? You're like, all right, well, it's an elf with a pockmarked face now.
And then you can roll. These are 3 separate tables of the D12 of what equipment they want. That's up to you. You want to roll a weapon, an armor, and an item of note. Just an item of note, just armor, just a weapon. So what do you got for me here?
5 for weapon.
So it's a powerful maul.
6 for armor.
All right, so thick chainmail.
And 2 for items of note.
A standard that honors a deity.
Boom. I'm like, that
Elven paladin with pockmarks who's duty driven, but prone to, what was it? Paranoid but untrusting.
And
dude, I'm imagining this elf.
Exactly. But here's the thing. It just says that there's to a deity. This is, we didn't say Palor. This is what makes it so that you can put it in your world, any world you want. And if there's a particular deity that the players are at odds with or are that one of your paladins follows, use that one. Like, just throw it in there and you're like,
exactly.
Immediate either conflict or camaraderie with this random NPC.
I love that. Like, it could be a fallen knight. Like, if it was, if your paladin follows whatever deity, make it someone who maybe isn't withholding or upholding the tenets, someone who's kind of weak and fallen and like, I don't know. I just think that's a really cool.
I just came up with a really stupid thing. Recently I was reminded that Dave Coulier, Joey from Full House, had a catchphrase that was "cut it out," right? And he does the thing, but I don't remember. It's cut. I don't remember it. Cut it out. Something like that. In my mind, for us, it's plug it in. And I'm not going to do a gesture for that because it just looks like sex. But but basically, plug it in. Like, that's what, oh, you did it. Basically, you just plug it right in to your own adventure. Even, again, it's random, but not the parts that matter. I don't know how to say that.
It's everything you need and nothing that you don't. I got everything I need.
And nothing that I don't. I know that's the sound of this. All right, so what are this guy's strengths and drawbacks?
Well,
D12?
and so roll me 2 D12s.
D12 World with Eminem. That joke is not funny, and I said it again.
Yeah,
4.
you did. So he's exceedingly loyal and brave.
And 6.
But he's terrible with money.
Oh, man, I love it. Like, none of those things might even come up, but when you're role-playing this guy.
You know that character. And I love that it's an elf, because most people would do a human or a dwarf, but this slender elf with maybe a little bit too big armor. So
Josh did emojis in the chat that were cut it out, like, basically.
That's wonderful.
That was great.
Well done, Josh. Well done.
All right, D20.
Finally, NPC secret, so that even if you generate the same character, like, no one will be alike.
All right, 16. What's this guy's secret?
They know a secret about the local authorities that could get them killed. This is their chance to obtain concrete proof.
Boom. So this guy has a motive suddenly that your players don't know about. And again, you can look on here and see which one works, but I love that. And you just think about what happened last session, 2 sessions ago, 3 sessions ago. What have the authorities done? And just, okay, what is their secret? And it may not come up during this, or the NPC, they may start asking the players questions. You just have a concrete idea of how to role play this person that makes them feel like a real person and less like a random Fletcher that lives in the town.
Hey, okay, here's my NPC. Here's my one-dimensional elf that I need to drop in there. You take all those tropes and stereotypes and you shatter them, because now there's a character under there. You can even do this same thing. This is what I was talking about before. Take this and then make it a monster.
Yeah, then add some of the other things about a monster. Their motive, I forgot the other word, but what if they'll run away, if they're a coward, or basically
their behavior.
If it's an NPC they're going to fight specifically, you can give them all of this dimension and then give them like a cool, skip the elf thing and do the Minotaur.
Exactly.
Or, make it something sentient, obviously, or maybe it won't have a lot of these things, but mix and match so that you're like, not only did I come up with a really cool NPC, but just like I believe it was Matthew that mentioned earlier, you can make this person a main villain in the, this is, you can generate your villain using this. And just by using that and then deciding what their behaviors might be, and then, just adding a little bit of paint of your own, you have this person that could be a nemesis, just like from the Lord of the Rings game, Shadow of Mordor, that I forgot the name.
Exactly. And that, I think, is ultimate flexibility. The other thing to note is, to me, these tables are just detailed enough with a few, but it's not 5 pages of NPC roll tables.
Keep going, I just have a thing.
I was just going to say, to me, there are some really good books that I've seen that give you quite literally.
I knew that was going to happen.
Ty.
Hi, everybody.
Oh.
Click on XSplit so we can fix it. The dog is lounging under the table.
Oh, our underpants are showing. They can see the tactin of the
Oh,
wolves.
man, I don't know what I'm putting on his face.
Oh, I think
No, that's good.
I think he would tell us.
I can't. Oh, shoes on a banana.
There you go.
So it's not perfect, guys, but Ty stretched it. Yeah, if you lay down again and move it, I'm going to beat you up. I'm not really going to do that. I'm just going to pet him a lot. But you were saying something.
What I was saying is, no, I do. I got
Okay.
you. I'm gonna
Don't do it again. Just lay down, buddy.
What I was saying is that, to me, there are literally 200 entries in some of the NPC generators I've seen, but it's so overwhelming. It's difficult to use on the fly, and it's so granular that I'm like, dude, I don't want to generate.
It'll never come up.
500 things.
Yeah, like if it's that specific, like you said, there's just enough that you can use the same one in different ways. But if it's too specific, you're like, well, none of the players are a paladin, so he'll never talk to them about that. You know what I mean? It's too much.
Dude, okay, how many times have we been totally taken by surprise when our players are like, I want to talk to the guard, and you're like,
oh boy.
You do? Even if I just use the NPC personality table, if I just go, all right, okay, how does this guard interaction go? I'm like, all right, well, a 3, quiet yet capable. Okay, I have an anchor point that I can base the role play in.
You know what this toolbox reminds me of?
What?
And no promises here, but maybe one day I'll get this wish because I think we'd all love to see it, but there are plenty of logistical problems. An adventure kit DM screen with the toolbox back there. One of my favorite DM screens is the 3.5 one.
Can I tell you
with all the cool stuff on it?
Can I tell you that it is our goal? We did not want to overextend ourselves because we wanted our first Kickstarter to be manageable and reasonable and have one product.
And teach us how to use Kickstarter because we already messed up shipping. So I'm glad that we didn't mess up shipping on 2 products instead of 1.
Correct.
Let's put it that way.
But there are definitely plans in the future for things like a tool box, tool kit,
A tool belt.
little green tools, buddy. A toolbox, adventure kit, dungeon master screen, a deck. I would love an NPC deck so that you can just randomly.
Oh man, decks.
A location, like basically adventure kit decks, so that you can mix and match, so that you can do like.
I need to cover a few things in the chat.
Sure.
People made a lot of good jokes about Ty moving the camera.
Oh boy. Go for it.
So Josh says, what? You're not in a red room? It's a facade. Chad Stevens. Now my faith is shattered. Rob for performance check. K9 camera crew. Jarl DM. It's all smoke and mirrors. Oh man, Rob again. He don't need no grip. Cartmageddon. Illusion has been broken, Josh. Oh man. So they did really well. But I wanted to go back to something Cartmageddon said about the NPC generator that I didn't even consider, but it's like, boom, right on
Go for
target. It would be a cool way to roll a random character to play.
Oh my goodness.
Like even if you just use bits of it, you're like, I just need a little more inspiration for my character. You can roll on the races. You can roll on, something more specific, like, oh, what kind of armor am I going to wear?
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
Brilliant. And I'm like, that's what we're here for. Everything you need and nothing you don't, and a little bit more than you thought.
And a little bit more than you thought. That's the new tagline. So I want to roll up one more thing, which is a trap before we do the randomly generated dungeon. And I'm really excited about this. It's called the dice drop dungeon method. And I'm pretty stoked about it. I think it's pretty cool. But let's roll up a trap. I want to show you guys the trap generator. And that's not even counting. We're not going to roll up a skill challenge, but I'm going to show you guys the skill challenge generator just so you can see how easy it is. Skill challenges seem to be one of the things that are requested the most by Dungeon Masters Online because they don't know how to tie in using a skill with an environment very quickly and easily. This is a quick table. It's a D6 table of obviously the skills. I lied. We're going to do it. So
It's so quick. Like, why not?
all right. So I want to throw a skill challenge at my players. All right. 3. I want to throw a Constitution. Now, there is not a skill based on Constitution, but what do I want to do? How difficult do I want this? Well, I'm sorry.
D6.
This is old school. Oh, a 6. It's going to be near impossible. It's a 19 to 20 DC. Now I can come down here and say, I already have one. Braving a frigid ice storm, gaining entry from a collapsed wall or ceiling. Basically, there's wind blowing through here. They have to do a Constitution save or take ice damage or cold damage.
Or what's it called? Exposure. Basically, there are already exposure rules
of exhaustion.
So using this, you just know what the skill challenge is, but then using the rest of your understanding of the 5th edition rules or the rules for whatever RPG system you want to use.
Sure.
The idea is you have like, oh, okay, you know what it is now. Again, you just a phrase we use. We've drawn you a circle, and it's just up to you to fill it in.
Exactly. And I used the dud because I rolled a 3, but all the rest of these, okay, boom. So I won't roll it, but I'll say, all right, I need this guard we were talking to just a moment ago. I rolled that they were quiet yet capable, but I want there to be a skill challenge involved. Well, I'm going to use an intelligence because they're quiet yet capable. Maybe they're capable at knowing something. History. So now this is a history skill challenge, and I want to make it nearly impossible, 19 to 20. How do I do that? Well, now I have this idea that the guard is going to ask them a question. He's like, listen, I know I'm not supposed to let you in here, but if you can tell me who the 3rd king was on da-da-da-da-da-da, I'll let you in. Something where I'm like, now I have a guide here.
Plug it in.
Boom, boom, boom. There are also thematic skill challenges that we've got right here. If you're just like, give me a dex save. Dodging falling stalactites or razor sharp eyes.
Because it's also just, and this is something that you can make, or I'm sure there are plenty online. It's also a quick reference of what all the skills are,
Sure.
mapped to what the abilities are.
Exactly.
And the idea is, if you're coming up with a skill challenge, even if you don't use some of these things, you still know that sleight of hand is dexterity. I mean, that's probably the worst one, but some of them are a little less clear.
No, agreed.
Or like you're like, oh, okay, charisma. I want it to be intimidation. Whatever it is.
Exactly. And sometimes you just need that push to know, I want to do this. Having this at a glance makes it so that you can just come up with stuff on the fly.
Exactly. So time for a trap, right?
Let's do a trap. Yeah. So a D10 for the trap origins. Again, you can use as much of this or as little of this as you want, down to just stripping the mechanics out of here and making it simple. So give me a D10, handsome.
D10. D10 world.
Oh boy.
I can't not say stupid things. 6.
A rudimentary trap, simple to spot.
Okay. Boom.
Boom.
You know roughly what you're dealing with here.
Give me a D6. The save type needed.
1. That's 1.
Charisma. To fool a sentient trigger.
Okay.
Okay.
Already brewing.
Right.
Mixing the pot as my mind.
So
I did I'm glad you saw that pantomime. I wasn't sure if you did.
Now the trap consequences, either the damage type.
Oh, we got to roll.
Damage type and or conditions or both.
I wasted my D12 world joke on the last one, even though this is a
you
D12
did.
table 4.
So it's fire damage.
Okay. Optional condition. Well, I'm going to roll it.
Sure.
9.
You're paralyzed or petrified.
And you don't have to use that, but just an idea.
It gets you there.
It can go either way.
Just run down the list and go, all right, I want it to be blinded. Now, charisma as a sentient trigger is, to me, sort of like a simple, like it's what would be a modern day password.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps it's just something where you have to say a command word or something blows up in your face. But the
trigger,
the gunpowder or whatever used, once it explodes, is also a paralyzing agent.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it could be
it's like, what?
Because that's one of my favorite things about making traps is some traps are made to kill or maim, or some traps are made to petrify you until the owner shows up. He checks it every day. He's like, oh, somebody tried to sneak into the maw of black ice again.
That's it. And then, of course, down here you have your trap saves and DCs based on whether you want it to be a setback, dangerous, or deadly. And then what the adventurer level is.
Again, just those references that aren't going to change between adventure kits, but just allow you to go, okay, well, they're this level, so it should be roughly this.
Exactly. So if I'm like, all right, I want to do the trap that's a creature's corpse rigged up as a trap.
I love that.
The save type needed, I want it to be good old-fashioned dex to dodge deftly. And then the trap's consequences, I want it to be cold because, maw of black ice, and they get a level of exhaustion. All right, how do I use it? Well, I want it to be dangerous. So the save DC is going to be 12 to 15. Let's do like a 14. And it'll be an attack at a +6. And my party's a level 5. So since I want to do dangerous, I'm going to do 4d10.
And so As
that fast.
For the other one, you mentioned, okay, it was a password. My immediate thing when I stirred my brain pan was one of your players steps on a trigger, or, it's easy to spot and they start messing with it. Whatever it is, something begins talking to them. You mentioned it's a sentient trigger. The room, effectively. You've now created a room that's a trap. The room tells them, hey, that's going to blow up if you don't tell me what the password is. Very simple, shoot straight. Now, you've got one player standing there that can't move, or it's going to blow up anyway. And then the rest probably run for cover while they try to figure out a way to either trick or convince or otherwise just, let this person take the damage.
Exactly.
Suddenly, it's a skill challenge / trap. Or they disarm it. They see it and they disarm it, and that works too. But you have the DC of what that is.
Right. All of the things that you need to make those choices are right in front of you. And if nothing else, one of the things I love about the Toolbox is that if you're not sure what kind of adventure you want to run, sometimes starting with an encounter will get your creative juices flowing and inspire you and be that thing that sort of ignites all the triggers of inspiration that you've had stewing around in your
brain pan
for a little while. So
brain pot.
Coming here and saying, well, let's start with an NPC. Let's start with a trap. Let's start with an encounter. Doing that can be just enough to help me decide what tone I want to run for my game.
And so to reiterate again, because Barker from Be Better Game Master, one of our partners at Absolute Tabletop that's working on this book with us, says this is an epic spitball fest. So we give you what the adventure kit says, and then we come up with some just stuff on the fly of what we would make it. And the beauty is, like we talked about before, to me, this toolbox is the cream on top of the adventure kit. We're not even scratching the surface of the actual kit, the mauve, black ice, your adventurers going in and having a motive to go fight the Frozen King. This is just the bonus stuff. Yep. And you saw how easy it was for us to make it up for whatever else we wanted, or put it in Frozen King, or do whatever else. So that's beautiful. But I think it's time for what I really feel like is the part you're most excited about.
It's the part I'm most excited about. We're going to have to tilt the camera down. Do you think you can do that for me?
I can.
That does tilt down, right? I don't have it. It doesn't.
Yeah, no, it tilts. Well, no. I have the tripod tilts down, so I'm going to go around. So.
All right, that's cool. So what you're going to see is a sheet of paper, all of our ugly, gangly wires. And I'm going to show you one of the coolest parts, I think, of the adventure kit. And this is, in addition to everything we've shown you, we're actually going to show you how you can.
You gotta let me know. Further, I can go up, I can go down.
Right there is perfect.
Good.
Right there is perfect. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm not getting up again, so.
No, you're good. The white balance is crazy, so it's actually gonna be perfect because you're gonna be able to see the black lines really well.
Super contrasty.
Yeah. What we're gonna show you is the dice drop dungeon generator method. And so in the actual kit at the beginning, okay.
Jim Moreno said, would love to see a live stream game where you guys play out encounters made entirely with the kit.
I actually did a live stream. Jim, you were actually, I think you were there during Oath of the Frozen King. Well, I did not do what he suggested.
Oh, like literally like making it
one of my encounters was literally doing that. Actually,
I thought you did a full improv game. Is that what
I did a full improv game, but I used pieces of the kit. This encounter, this NPC, this. Oh. I didn't do a full randomly generated game. So Jim is right.
So Lloyd just got a real quick view into Tim and I's lives. He quoted, "I'm not getting back up again."
Oh, dude.
He said, "I'm dead." I'm like, the amount of times I tell Tim,
it's good enough.
Yeah,
the
like,
amount
listen,
of times
buddy.
James tells Tim, it's good enough.
Oh, man. Oh, they saw the AbTab coasters.
Oh.
Yes, Josh asked, are those made by Porch Pottery? Yes, Cassie made those. She made an AbTab stamp that she has since put on, I think, a few steins for community members. Yeah, and Barker answered. So we use those for our energy drinks so that Tim doesn't get water all over the table. Well, it's empty, so it's not a big deal. But
so one of the things we're going to show you, dude, I'm so excited about this. All right, it's called the Dice Drop Dungeon Generator. So James, do you want to do the honors?
Sure, yeah. Now,
I would say let's just use 1d10 for the sake of simplicity.
Okay, that's fine.
So you can choose either one of those. All right. So what you do is you take a blank sheet of white paper. Here's what I want to do. I want to go to the chat. And while we're doing this, I want you to this is the Oath of the Frozen King, but let's name it something else. What is a cool name for this adventure that we're going to do right now? Does anybody have any ideas? Put it in the chat, and we'll definitely give you mad credit. And we'll theme this around this. So James, take those dice, drop them, make sure they land somewhere on the page.
Well, even if you roll them off the page, you can just
Perfect.
slide them, whatever. But
All right. So what we're looking at
oh
is...
wow, that's really bad.
Here,
You want to
let
play
me
with that a
actually-
little bit?
Yeah, I'll actually turn it.
Sorry, I was going to say contrast maybe.
Yeah.
I would just bring it all the way down. No, contrast, just like boom, like to the floor. Nope, didn't matter. The lights are too bright.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's okay. You should be able to see the black. Just draw a little. Oh, perfect. Brightness. Yeah, okay. So it's all right, guys. But when you start drawing black lines, it'll be pretty obvious.
You will not be able to see the paper here, but essentially what you want to do is you want to just write what die is what. So this is a D20. This
Yeah, I
is
can see that. That's great.
a D6. This is a D4.
So Barker said don't pick his, but he had a good one. The Plague of Underfathom.
Ooh, I
Stealing
love
that for something later.
I love that.
Jeremy Lilly, Throne of the Lizard King. That's cool, but I think we were going more for Underfathom. Wrath of the Stormlord says Rob from Performance Check. Matthew Gibbons, Frozen Knights Rise. Ben Wigmore, The Desert of Golthar, Story of the Sand Merchant. I love how much that says in the title. Matthew Gibbons, Winter is Coming. Craig Bailey, Chamber of Lost Hearts. Pra, I always forget. I'm so sorry. The Blood Mist Ritual. I love
Dude, those
when
are
blood
amazing.
is misty. The Rise of the Eels, quoting Esper Bronchitis says. So this is another thing that you didn't explain what you're doing, but it's a thing you have to do.
Oh, so all right. So what I do is
You're going steps.
I trace each one of the die that were here. Okay. I trace each one of the die that were here, and then I move them. And then I just start drawing hallways.
The Cold Dominion, says Jonathan Henry. Just random hallways. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Really.
Yeah, I am literally just, I'm
You
not
can
even
cross
going
them
to
out
connect
later if
those
you
two.
want. Whatever, yeah.
You could connect them in any way you want. But now I have a general shape. And then if you look, I'm actually going to screen share real quick.
Maybe.
No, I will.
I know. I just like to give you a hard time every day of your whole life.
I know. So here, the dice drop dungeon generator method. Get a blank sheet of paper and do what I did. Roll the dice, slide the dice, your room, slide them around. Remove the dice, draw connecting corridors, and now look, we have tables here. And we're going to refine this essentially, but let's look. Well, would you want to use table 1 or table 2?
Table 1.
All right, so table 1, I just look and I say, all right, the D4, I know what encounter to use from the book, and it is the location, the altar of Zaro. So I know that that is my D4. So right here, I know that this one is the altar. And I know that in here, I'm going to run the tax encounter. Okay. Now my D6, it's freezing soldier. So you can just do soldier and then kennel. Right? And so on and so on.
That says kennel, guys.
No, that's fine. D8 is chasm, and the location is a sword shrine, etc., etc. What I have done here is literally generated a dungeon with corridors using everything in the kit. So I would continue to go through and put those in, but now let's have some fun. Those are my locations and my encounters, but let's go back to the toolbox and use some of the cool things here. Thematic phrases. So roll me a D10, Jimmy boy. I'll roll. You're typing. Right? So, boom, a 9. Archaic ice traps. All right. So in here, I'm going to say ice traps. Oh, boy. Well,
Somebody just gave you a hard time for spelling altar wrong, and then you go in and spell traps wrong.
Oh, let me explain to you. I'm a creative person. I'm not a speller.
Tim's a spell check person.
Altar.
Barker says, that's why I took the pen. I fixed it. It's just a mess, but I changed it.
No, I'm a bad speller.
Barker says, Altair, the assassin from Assassin's Creed game.
That's perfect. So I want to essentially, and then like features and dressing, another D10. And I go and say, all right, a 10. Collapsed pillars and ruined walls. So
now we're writing them down, but if you have the thing in front of you, the idea is you could just put 10 for features and dressing.
Right, and I can go from room to room and basically just do this. So pick 1 or 2. So we'll use this that I spelled wrong and say, in here, this is where ice traps will be. And then this is also where the frozen pillars will be. And I'm just going to pick 1 or 2 to put in there for each one. All right, let's talk about these hazards, which are my favorite quick thing to use. These are just things to throw in there that aren't full-blown combats, but they're not quite skill challenges.
They make the world real. Like, this is an ice cave that nobody goes in and is dangerous.
It's my way of doing random encounters.
And if you know Tim, it's his way or it's the highway. That doesn't rhyme when I don't say my. So
it's his way or it's the biz way. So a sudden ice sinkhole. So we're gonna do a sinkhole here. So you get the idea. This is an abysmal drawing with bad spelling. That says Sarkholf.
But if you've ever seen DM's prep notes, they don't matter what they look like. You immediately know. Okay, do you want to go to the left door or the right door? Oh, if they go to the left door, they go to the sinkhole room. Like
it's
you immediately, and it's random, but because it's randomly generated with within the bounds of the adventure kit, you have all of the pieces of the adventure kit. You just let the dice decide for you what they are.
Exactly. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't want this to be the chasm. I don't like that. I want this to be the end piece. Let's roll here on the encounters. All right, a 20. It's actually, I rolled, this dice is loaded.
No, because it didn't roll very well when I used it the other night.
Room ringed with burning gutter of fire, melting ice dripping.
Yeah.
So this I'm going to turn into a totally different room. And then my encounter features. So it's a 6. A large stone statues wielding iron weapons. Already I'm getting a picture of what this is, and it's not included in the kit at all. Encounter events. Let's go. 5. So 15. Boom. Enemies retreat and take cover behind a barricade. So, like, I have an encounter all of a sudden.
You just know.
So, yeah.
Craig Bailey, joking aside, this is an awesome method for getting dungeons made super fast. Like we talked about, this is one of the options to get you started. The other ones are, starting with this or that and building from there, whether you want to be more focused on the NPCs or if you're just looking to build a bunch of challenges. But like you said, this is a great way to just very quickly go for it.
Sure. And that is the dice drop dungeon generator, where you basically just drop the die, circle them, write which ones, draw connectors, and you're done. So I know you said you weren't going to get up again, but unless you
need another piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you pick it up like you were going to try to ride them back. No, I wasn't getting up again to move the camera to do the same thing. That was all.
Sure, which is fair.
So now I'm not sitting down again. Guys, Tim just threw away a dungeon. Like,
I did.
How wasteful. I don't get that.
So I want to do one more quick thing here, and I want to show you. You can do that one.
I got to read chat stuff.
Read the chat stuff.
Jim Reno, gents, I've been playing D&D since 1980, and that's one of the most interesting prep methods I've ever seen. It's tactile, imaginative, and quick. Far out. That's what we're going for.
It's
just everything you need and nothing you don't.
Totally, dude.
Farker says, the best part of this thing, when you combine the random rolls with your own choices to create a very realistic dungeon. Exactly. This draws you a circle. And by circle, we mean like 6 rooms. And then you can randomly decide, and then just kind of dial it in to say, no, I want this or I want that. Jarl DM, this is absolutely gnarly, really simple method of what I've never thought of doing. Yeah, Tim came up with this. Obviously, after he came up with a really cool idea, helped him very slightly to kind of dial it in, but Tim has basically nailed it.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's so good.
And even if you don't want to use the reason why I wanted to do this is because you can use as many or as few as you want. Okay. You can use as many or as few as you'd like, and just use the toolbox. Oh,
here's the thing. Josh said, okay, what if I want bigger dungeons? How big do you want your dungeon, man? How many dice you got?
Super dungeon.
Boom.
And so that's the essential.
Jim Moreno, roll more dice. Yeah, exactly. No,
that's it.
Yeah, that's what you do.
That's it. And so what I wanted to show you was that even just the randomization of rolling a couple of rooms on a piece of paper and saying, all right, this is what my dungeon looks like. I'm not going to go through the pain of tracing all this again, but you get the idea. Even if you want to do like circles and then just know, and then you can also do like different shaped rooms.
Yeah, like you could draw a map this way if you were so inclined.
Right. Or use the tiles from our buddies at Heroic Maps who are including it and just say, because the maps will have numbers next to them for this roll table generation. So that it could be like this crazy shape or like...
Because those will be modular and to some degree fit together. I don't think they've done those yet, so we haven't put our eyes on them. But
exactly.
They're going to be able to be used for this purpose. And even if you wanted to, if you end up buying the map tiles, you can use them on something like Roll20, and it'll be your own Frozen King. You just put it together. It doesn't have to be the same Mines of Phandelver, Storm King's Thunder.
Exactly.
Storm King's Thunder. Okay. I thought that was...
That was like a deal. Of the Stormy King.
Whatever. Either way, yes, you can put all those things together. Another thing is, one of the stretch goals that was unlocked, am I lying here?
Tell me.
Was more stuff.
No, that was unlocked. So there are more of these larger tiles.
But I mean the more
and
encounters, more.
Oh yeah, more encounters as well.
So the idea is that we're going to have enough so that you can make, it all fits together well enough, and we want to have enough so that, say if we have 6 encounters, you won't be like, oh, well, but I can't make a big dungeon because it's the same 6. No, it's the same 6, like, different things, but then you add that to the skill challenges, you add that to this other thing, and this other, and you can make, a super dungeon of the Mauve Black Ice.
Exactly.
A campaign of 3, 4, 5 sessions of them going through this crazy dungeon crawl, or run as a one-shot.
And that's what I wanted to do is say, so I rolled this up, right? We could go to the toolbox and just use any part we want and make it the focal point. I want to make the focal point of this room a monster. So I roll that up, and just choose one thing and let the rest be total improv. I want to make the focal point of this room a trap. And these connecting pieces right now are hallways, but Heroic Maps are going to be designing us specific, customized connectors.
Are you screen sharing?
Yeah, we unlocked a bunch of them. And so you can take these, and once you randomly generate those, you can actually say, all right, well, this table here, this connector here, this connector here, this room. There's no end to randomly generated dungeons using just the toolkit with the thematic stuff to run an endless Mauve Black Ice.
Exactly.
So will you do me the honor of fixing the camera?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to mess with the white balance and all that.
Oh, yeah. Good luck, guys. We're going to look awesome.
So remember, if this is interesting to you, if you like this, if you want to support us in any way, go a little higher. Perfect. If you want to support us in any way, this is probably, I think, the most valuable way to do it for you. A lot of people ask us, well, how can I support you? Well, of course, we always absolutely love subscribers and comments, etc. But one of the things that I love the most is sharing the RPG stuff that we create so you can use it at your table and make it better. We have a community full of brilliant people who are consistently making our stuff better.
Yeah, so somebody asked, and a few people are answering them, but Ivor in the chat says, great idea, though. Is there a site where I can find ideas for each room in the dungeons? Well, somebody answered that, Ivor, but if you go in the comments or I think the description of this video, you will see that we are currently currently in the midst of our Kickstarter for an adventure kit, which is a thing we've created at our company, Absolute Tabletop. It's Tim and I and 2 other people that work together, and we're making what's called Oath of the Frozen King, an adventure kit where this thing we just talked about is only a small portion at the end of the book that allows you to use the entire book to create these dungeons. So that's where you'll get the list if you back us on Kickstarter.
And there's going to be a simple table as well that will be without specifics to like each encounter. It'll just be like puzzle, trap, role-play encounter of which die it is, so that when you roll the D4, it's the we'll have a few different tables for this this specific type of dice drop generator that allow you to use it in a multitude of ways. But that's just one way to get mileage out of this thing. You could also never touch the toolbox and run the thing just from the front of the book.
Exactly. That's the beauty. We've covered the toolbox very extensively here, but this is not the whole book. This is the end of the book. This is the like I said, the creme on top if you were watching the movie Inglourious Bastards.
And so I think a good place to end the stream is at the beginning of the kit. Because one of the things about any pre-written adventure is that there is a through line, there's a plot. And while you can give your players multiple hooks to bite, there's still a general
beginning, middle, and end, like you said, just a plot that they can follow so that it's not, oh, and the villain is, let me roll on this random table,
right,
a badger with a damaged leg from earlier.
Right. So the idea here is, what if we gave you a way to frame this differently every single time
without like spending $60 at Joann's?
Zing, this guy's on point.
Oh.
So I'm actually going to, well, and this is actually a good little inside addition, I think, well, as soon as it loads.
I'm pretty sure I didn't write any swears in there.
We'll see.
No, I didn't, but.
So this is going to show you an inside peek of what our editing process looks like as we create books. This is Google Docs. We use suggestion mode. So there's background to give you just the basics of what we consider as the plot, the conflicts of what the players can run into, the adventure elements. But this is one of my favorite parts of the overview, the quests table.
Because like Tim said, this is the overview. This just tells you what's in the rest of the book so that you can refer to it, so that you don't have to read the whole book before you run it. If you get this book and want to run it in an hour, you can just, I don't know, do whatever else you want, do your dishes, run your dishwasher. And then when it's game time, you could, if you were brave enough, just look at the overview, make a few decisions, roll on a few tables, and have an adventure for your players.
Exactly. So here's the background of like, hey, here's what's up. Here are the conflicts, things that are happening, the adventure elements, like I said. But the quest is like, all right, how do I want to run this? So do me a favor, roll me a D12 3 times.
Sometimes I don't know what.
It's the yellow one.
Oh, we didn't have it. I put the D12 away. I was like, I swear I'm not overlooking this D12. 7.
A 7, so it's an old friend.
Another 7.
That is, the quest type is insertion.
And 9.
9, the quest giver purposely deceives the party.
Perfect.
Hey man, I need you to get me in there.
Yeah, you're just bring me in there. I just need a tour guide, not tour guide, but somebody to bring me. There are cultists. There are things happening. Stuff's going down at the Maw of Ice. You know, whatever other decisions you made. But this old friend of the party, maybe somebody, you know, a few sessions ago that they helped out, they saved his life, is going to deceive your players, and that's going to be the plot hook, where that's what happens. Now, obviously, they don't know at the beginning that they were deceived.
Yeah, but totally different. To me, that's a totally different quest than roll 3 more.
10.
A shady contact.
1.
And the quest type is assassination.
12.
Would reignite a feud.
So a shady contact needs you to assassinate somebody, and what the players don't realize, or they maybe eventually do, even though they might be down for this assassination, it's going to reignite an old feud that is going to cause further conflicts down the road.
Exactly.
2 different, completely different styles of adventure that are going to use the same book.
To pull from someone's really good point before, you don't even need to be using our kit to use this to generate a quest.
Exactly.
But then the adventurer motivations, this is a good table to like go down the list and just draw from, saying which one of these matches my players best. Blackmailed into service, beaten and left for dead, arrested and pressed into service, lied or tricked into helping. But you can also decide which one you're going to focus on by rolling a d20 and say, all right, so an 11, they were lied or tricked into helping. And then so that the kit is thematic, we're including in this table specifics, and this was Barker's idea, and I think it's a brilliant idea, specifics to this set of conflicts.
Sorry, Ty was moving, and I'm just waiting for that camera. He's under the table at my feet. So
to me, they were lied or tricked into helping. A local chieftain recruits the party with blatant lies, telling them that a mad troll is causing all the trouble in the area, though knowing full well it is very likely the Frozen King.
Dude just lies to him.
Boom.
That's it.
Now, look at all this. You have yourself an episode. You have the things that get the ball rolling. So now, if I know up here, it was a shady contact who had an assassination. No, let's go back to the old friend who wanted to get inside and they basically were lying. You come down here and he's in league with the chieftain and they know it's the Frozen King and they really want to go in there and retrieve his heart because it's treasure. It's worth so much.
Yeah.
But they lie to the party. Hey, I know someone will help us get in there. We'll just tell him someone's in danger. I need to get
Exactly. And probably because it was an old friend, the chieftain has something against the person and makes them lie to the party.
Exactly.
So, you know, good old, they get an insight check and they're getting a weird vibe from this guy, but they're not sure why. He's a friend. They might find out. They might find out later. They might find out when they come back.
Right.
But it's just all that conflict where you're like, that little bit.
By doing this, every single variation that I rolled there could make literally hundreds of thousands of adventures. But no 2 instances of Frozen King are going to be the same. And I loved that idea. I loved the idea that, hey, you want to run some Frozen King?
And like I said,
want that to be something that people say, like, hey, let's run Frozen King.
Exactly.
Knowing that it's going to be super different.
Knowing that you can just pick it up and you're like, oh, I want to see how we do, or oh, we want to do it at a higher level, or I made new characters, or someone didn't show up. We didn't realize, what are we going to do? I don't have something else planned. Let's grab Frozen King. Chad Stevens. This is the first published adventure I've been interested in a long time.
Awesome.
That's a really big deal because we've written 2 adventures already. We've written one called Horror at Misty Meadows and one called Sewers Under Sandwall. Both ones that I absolutely love. But here's the thing. I can't play those adventures because we know them inside and out.
Yeah.
I would love to play Sewers Under Sandwall without knowing what was going to happen.
Yep.
But even with some of the random elements we put in there, I kind of remember all of them. So it's hard. But Oath of the Frozen King, I could play, and especially if you didn't tell me, hey, I'm using the adventure kit, and you just reskinned it a little bit, I'd never know. So it's like, if that's how I feel as a creator, I'm like, I hope people get that same feeling out of it.
So let's talk about reskinning the kit. There's actually a table that we made in here. Quick, to the point, but it tells you how to reskin the kit. In fact, I'm going to make 1, 2, 3.
Barker mentioned something in the chat that there was actually a third adventure we made, and it's if we've been doing this for about 2 years now. We have 17 books. One of them is called Riptide Raid. It is also sort of a mini adventure. Sure. I would even say that it's more like a couple of encounters put together. A great book.
It's an LP.
But I'm a little bit sad that I forgot it. So Barker mentioned it in the chat, like, hey, don't forget about that other thing we toiled over for 2
no
weeks.
Kidding. Well, Matt was on his honeymoon, so we did it without sweet Matt, and I think we actually pulled it out.
Yes. So, and I know Barker did so much work on that. I mean, we all did, but I just know he was like, I think he headed that one up. So especially sad that I forgot it. But what's that roll table look like?
Well, so reskinning the adventure, it's not even really a roll table. It's just some ideas. If you want to use all of these elements and just replace ice on the fly with any environ, in fact, I'll plug right now, Critical Hit Publishing, DBJ and Captain Gothnog, they write incredible books about environs. Grab one of their books, combine it with the adventure kit, and you could run even more limitless permutations of adventures. But like, here are just some ideas of how to reskin it. Oath of the Buried Emperor. Reskin with Stone and Earth. The adventure occurs deep underground. Oath of the Desert Prince, Oath of the Drowned Queen, Oath of the Forest King, etc. Oath of the Rogue Czar. So brick and wood, the adventure occurs in a dilapidated thieves' den.
I love that. Now, somebody asked, and we're going to answer the question in long form. Josh says, is there an option for reskinning it, say, for a sci-fi fantasy space game? Not exactly, like in that, because literally that chart is just like giving you a few ideas. That chart would read a cool name, reskin with it's a sci-fi fantasy space game. But the adventure kit is such that while it would take a little more work, you could absolutely run it in a sci-fi space game if you had, the pieces of the sci-fi space game to replace. So specifically, say if Harbinger were out and we have monsters and other things, you could run it in our currently under development Harbinger science fiction RPG. There he goes, Ty. I appreciate it.
Bye.
We got a one shot here. We're doing
See
a
you
one. Man, he usually is pretty good about not doing what he just did 2 times.
Look, our lies are only partially exposed.
So it's cool, guys. Just don't look over here. So that said, yes, you can absolutely reskin it for putting this thing on Ty's face because he refuses to move.
Oh.
That'll have to do again. So
that's great.
It'll take a little bit of work. And so Jarl DM says he used it to run Numenera and Shadowrun with only a little bit of work. Reskinning it that extremely does take away a little bit of the kit in that we have some like things you can roll, like sensory things to throw in, and they're all very specific to the ice.
Yeah.
And you can use some of them, but while you can still use the adventure kit, it's, you're going to get the most out of it.
I would say the toolkit would be really helpful for monsters, NPCs, all that stuff that is not blasters and tech, totally usable. So just the toolbox by itself, you could run encounters, build NPCs, build monsters, build skill challenges. You just got to reskin it for space.
So Jeremy Lilly asks, so since this is so versatile, would you guys please touch on what future adventure kits might be? Yes. Sure. We haven't decided yet, but we've thrown around some stuff because the beauty of adventure kits to us is it's a rough framework that we can just plug stuff into. So the plan is to take some of our worlds that aren't as fleshed out and set adventure kits there and use that as a way to flesh them out. Eventually, in no particular order, we plan to see NK adventure kits.
Absolutely.
More Dragon Grin adventure kits. Both of those, one is Barker's world. Dragon Grin is our world that this one takes place in. Aeronoth, which is Matt's world. We'll have some there. But to go even crazier, Matt's world of Kror, which is the blood moon of Aeronoth, where it's like Conan-style fantasy, like crazy, really terrible red dirt kind of fantasy. We're going to have one for that. I'd love to see a Harbinger one.
Absolutely.
We've talked about some sort of quote-unquote joke ones. We have a character that the guys came up with. I think I wasn't there. They came up with on the fly called Ronald Robot, a robot in a dystopian world.
Dude, exactly.
Eventually, I'd love to see an adventure kit of that.
Sure. Not to mention, there are a couple that I would like to see, which is I would like to see adventure kits of some of our pre-existing things. Like I would love to see a Horror at Misty Meadows adventure kit to take what we already did, and that was our version of the story at the time, but take the monsters and the baddies and all that stuff, because the adventure itself, all the art's done, all the NPCs are written, but just breaking them down in a way so that it's more tactile and able to be used. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Sewers Under Sandwall. I'd love to see a Riptide Raid adventure kit, and like just eventually taking some of those things that we've already made full-on adventures for and breaking them into this modular thing so that your Sewers Under Sandwall is super different than mine.
And to be clearer, we covered a lot of the toolbox today, but the bulk of the adventure kit is made up of encounters, locations, and NPCs that are specific to that adventure kit.
Yes.
Not so specific that they couldn't be used somewhere else, but specific enough that those will change in other ones. So in this case, you know, we have a specific location, and I don't have that in front of me, but the idea is there are locations that are in the Maw of Black Ice that can be reskinned. But when the Kror one comes out, those are going to be specific to that. So
exactly,
there's going to be different locations, NPCs, and monsters.
Yeah.
The idea being,
so mostly
I can't remember what it
NPCs,
is.
Locations, and encounters.
And encounters. That no, sorry, that was
the
the
big
word I was
ones.
looking for.
But there'll also be thematic monsters, and
but the idea is that some certain things will stay the same, and you could have one adventure kit and come up with all kinds of things. But eventually, Ice is going to get boring. So when we come out with, like I said, an Ankea one that takes place in, that's kind of a hard world to sum up in one sentence. A Kror one that takes place on, like I said, a blood moon where water is very scarce and it's very like Conan style, maybe low magic. That's gonna, you know, you're like, oh, but I want to run something more like that. You can pull from Frozen King and just reskin it, or you can use this. So all of them
combine them together and say, hey, I'm just going to run a campaign, kit after kit after kit.
So they will stand on their own, and they will each have very unique elements, but some things, like, you'll know what to expect from an adventure kit. You can say, I'm going to flip to the encounters section.
Correct.
Because you know every adventure kit's going to have encounters.
And one of the things that was really important to us in creating this is creating those specialized custom encounters to be able to place them in locations. The reason why we didn't go over that today is because when this kit comes out, we want people to be able to run it and have it be primarily a surprise. We don't want to just put all that out there right away. Maybe we might go over a location or two or an encounter or two.
And there are multiple games that people have run, that we have run, that people we know have run, that are out there. So to get an idea of what will come from the kit if you use it. And, you know, I don't know that we have one of those compiled, but I think there might be a playlist somewhere of these are all the play tests. And you can, you know, get an idea if you watch some of these live plays.
Yeah, and the thing I want to really emphasize, though, is that we handcrafted the 6 encounters and the 6 locations and the 6 NPCs. Now that you've unlocked them, it was less than that. Now it's 6 of each, so you can actually roll and generate, you know, a D6. But those are the core of the book, so that they're simple enough to be used very quickly. That will be brand new in every adventure kit. Those core encounters, those core locations and sensory.
The meat of it is going to change.
The core map tiles and those things that work. But the toolkit in many places will be customized to fit the setting. So going to that toolbox where I said that the ground was covered with ice that had frosted over, that will not be the case in Kror. In Kror, it'll be something along the lines of like, you know, a long dehydrated dust mound where water has not been, like making sure that it's specific to the world. So we're going to make sure that each one of these adventure kits has a lot of value on its own. And if you own multiples, it's not just a bunch of rehashed information with some encounters slid in between. It's a versatile, cohesive product that stands alone or is plug and play with all the rest.
Exactly. 2 things.
Sure.
1, I'm cosplaying as Sonic the Hedgehog.
You are.
2, Jarl DM says Iskloff Adventure Kit. That's his world. And I want, to all the creators out there, I want to respond to that by just winking as audibly as I can. Bing. So just take that as we'll talk to all of you that would love to see an adventure kit in your own world. We'll figure that out eventually. Let us get this first one out first.
And that is true. Once this template is created and we know what a finished product looks like, it will be much easier for us to then go into production on more. etc.
Exactly. And of course, we have other books planned. So, I mean, we're talking long term. We've got Dead Man's Guide to Dragongrin, a thing that I just forgot all the buzzwords for.
Atlas of Inspiration.
That's what it is. An Atlas of Inspiration about our campaign world, Dragongrin, which is going to be really cool to use with some of these adventure kits. We also have Campaign Master 2. That's a big one. Campaign Master 1, our world building book, is one of the pledge levels, but Campaign Master 2 is going to be another big release. Building the story. So just another way to build cool stuff.
And that's the other thing that I want to mention is that it was important for us to really go through a Kickstarter, learn the ropes, and successfully deliver a product before we did Kickstarters for some of these larger products that we plan on doing. Because we want to make sure that when we deliver the larger books that are consistently going to, I think that the audience is going to grow the more Kickstarters we do. By going through the paces in this particular like small softcover situation, it's going to make sure that we can deliver a larger hardcover core book on time or early. So
Barker says, and this has got me, it's usually the carny on the left that writes the checks. When James does it, all is lost.
It's true.
I didn't write a check. I more typed up like a free estimate, you know? It's more like an invoice kind of thing.
I can see Jeremy Willie says, James got a hold of Tim's checkbook.
Lloyd says, I'm taking that wink as a contract. That wink is an ancient and powerful magical spell in this country.
In this country. Lloyd is from Ireland. But yeah, that is a quick... That is a longhand sneak peek of the toolbox and a little bit of the adventure overview from the adventure kit. And there will be more to come. We will do more live streams. Maybe we will do a location. Maybe we'll talk about some of the encounters, which I know are important to people. But for now, I guess we'll end it with just a little Q&A. Are there any particular questions that you have that we didn't answer?
Ty, I swear to God, if you move that camera again. Oh, he's standing up.
Oh, boy.
Oh, but he's moving. Who knows where he's going? Oh, stepped right on your foot.
He super did.
He's circling the waters. He smells blood.
Uh-oh.
But seriously, if you guys have any questions, honestly, we always answer so many questions that I feel like the Q&As, rarely people actually have questions.
Sure. And now is a great time. If you haven't pledged already and you think that this is an interesting thing that you want to get a hold of, there are pledge levels as low as $1, but you can also get in there for $10, $25, $35, and $50.
$10 gets you the book.
$10 gets you a PDF copy of the book, both printer friendly and color. But if you go check out the link in the comments below, we call it the dungeon. Check out the dungeon. You get some XP if you click on that link. There's a cool video showing you the ins and the outs of the Kickstarter.
I'm petting Ty as appeasement for not moving the.
What a good boy.
As not a simulation. I can't pet and think of words. As a sacrifice.
Oh.
To please the gods of not moving the camera. Yeah, I'm just scratching his butt. He puts his tongue out straight.
I think, for me anyway, this has been a lot of fun. I really liked hanging out and just kind of going through the kit because we wrote it in pieces. So going back through and using some of this stuff live, it's just like, wow, okay, this stuff still does work.
Okay, we got a really good question. I love good questions. First, real quick, I'm going to answer this one, and then there's a good question. Yeah, the nerdy simulation. How do you fight a dragon with only a dagger? They then later said, just kidding. But my answer was going to be at very high level. Cartmageddon says, very carefully. But the real question is, why should I use your charts rather than crack open the 5e Dungeon Master's Guide? And we covered that a little bit, but I think we can go back over why these charts are not better, but are a little easier to generate things from that make sense.
Yep.
So you want to take that? You want me to dive in?
No, I'll dive right in and say there are two specific reasons. The first one is the 5e DMG is amazing. It does its job.
And it has a lot of really good inspiration, and I love going through there to get an idea of what is possible.
I guess he will answer it.
No, that's it. I just
okay. So, but I lost my train of thought. You're cut off. No more asterisks for James. The 5e DMG is very detailed. And when you say crack open the 5e DMG, I don't believe, because I've tried it, you can crack it open and make a monster. when you crack open the DMG, it's to do the research you need for a longhand. I would say, for me, it's no less than 20 minutes. If you want to use the rules in the book to make a monster, there's a lot.
Well, here's the important thing. I'm gonna save you here because I mean we're okay. So
he's in rare form today, folks.
The idea is that the Dungeon Master's Guide gives you the thing that the Adventure Kit doesn't cover. It tells you what kind of monsters there are. It gives you the list of, oh, here are all the different kinds, but it doesn't say, but choose from these, these abilities that monsters have. Choose from these traits that monsters have. So a few people mentioned, not only in this case are some of them themed to the Oath of the Frozen King kit, that if you're running this, they will fit really well. Our kit gives you more inspiration, where the Dungeon Master's Guide tells you these are the kinds of monsters that can exist, but we only have so many pages and we need to cover a lot. The Adventure Kit says these are the kinds of things that can exist, and these are things that if you don't want to make it up on the fly, you can use as little bits of inspiration to build a monster, an encounter, an NPC, a equipment, roll for trinkets. There's a lot more inspiration, I think.
What the Adventure Kit also does really well is it abbreviates the information in the DMG. So it's designed to be used in association with, not instead of. The idea being that if you read through the section on how to craft a monster, then go to our kit and see how to make a quick thematic one, you're going to be educated. So what the kit does, it abbreviates and makes available quick I keep saying abbreviates, shorthand ways to use things in the DMG once you get the concept.
Exactly. I think that in short form, the DMG is a lot of how-to, and the Adventure Kits are a lot more inspiration on like what you can do.
Exactly.
Somebody asked, okay, this was different, but Perry Folk says, hey, do you guys have a page on the DM's Guild or on DriveThru? Yes, the company's name is Absolute Tabletop. You can find us both on drivethrurpg.com. All of our products are on there, or at our website, absolutetabletop.com. Both of them have much of the same stuff, so whichever one you prefer, go for it, but you'll find us on our pages in both of those places.
Oh, look, Jim Moreno says, I see the kit as flexible enough to be used on the fly while in game. DMG doesn't have that full flexibility.
And that's a good point. Like you said, when you look in the Dungeon Master's Guide, it's going to take a little bit longer, and it takes a little more to distill what you're looking for. And while they do cover the concepts, they don't necessarily give you everything you need. Whereas the Adventure Kit works more on giving you the things you need to do it right now, not think, oh, okay, well, I need to come up with a trait, so let me go figure that out. Here, you're like, here's a trait right here. Just use that one.
Right. And to me, the Adventure Kits are also a very, very good way, I think, of having everything you need in one book. Because while the DMG is incredible, it's a full encyclopedia of this condition and this madness and these, whereas this whole thing is one concentrated tool to run an adventure.
Josh says, aftermarket roll tables, it's like bolting on a supercharger. I love that.
Dude,
and you hit the switch and the thing goes. I don't think there were any more questions. And like I said, usually there's like one or two. That was a very good one. Oh, what do you think will be your favorite part of the Adventure Kit to work on?
Oh, man. I think it's kind of tough because it's already mostly done. And that's another important part, is that we made sure that this thing was like 80% there. I mean, you saw, we were sharing stuff that's pretty close. It's going to take some editing.
But some
of the roll tables are blank.
But a lot of the creative stuff is there. The circles are drawn. You just need to firm it up. And we've actually been playtesting this thing. Yeah. So to actually answer the question, say instead more, what is the favorite part you think you'll be able to use? And I think I know what your answer is going to be.
Mine's the toolbox.
Like, no question.
All day.
What part of the toolbox? Because to be more specific, we covered like 5 generators today.
What part of the toolbox?
I think for me, my favorite part of the toolbox, not to say my favorite part of the whole kit, because I don't want to have the same answer as Tim, is the NPC generator. Both to generate very sort of non-one-dimensional NPCs, as well as I think Cartmageddon mentioned earlier, one day I'm gonna roll up a character and then roll on those tables to make decisions about how my character will act. Yeah. And it will be even more fun to play that character in game, to make role-playing decisions, and as a player, use that to come up with how my character will act.
That's actually a really good one. I think For me, I would say the monster generator, just because
You love monsters.
I love
we all
monsters.
know it.
And I think, to me, writing that thing, just making it as lean and mean as possible to fit in that one little grid where you can just pump stuff out, was a cool feeling. Because when I went to use it live during a game, it saved my butt a few times.
Like, it just worked. Like you said, I mean, you could open the Dungeon Master's Guide and see, like, oh, it could be a construct, but it could also be anything. I don't know. Oh, but my favorite part of the adventure kit, it's got to be the toolbox. I mean, other than that, I love the idea of the different ways you can use it, and we covered that very briefly. But you can, using the same stuff, we give you a rough idea of if you want to do story first, like NPC drama first. If you want to go challenges, like, oh, these are the challenges, and then build it around that. Or if you want to do the rooms and then fill it with different stuff. Like, depending on the play style of your group, you can build it differently to make it fit the play style of your group. I mean, that's basically it.
Which I love. So, all right, this is how we're going to end the stream. For all of you who stuck around, you know, we like to do stuff at the end where we say, like, hey, did you watch the end? And to me, if you have stuck through until the end, put in the comments, location, 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 as though you're a realtor of a dungeon. Here's why. I'm going to share one location.
Okay, yeah.
We're going to share one location. My main reason for not wanting to is in case someone wants to run this right away, but there's 6 of them and just this one, it's never going to be the same.
But if you screen share, you're going to get 2.
Well, but not all of it. Oh,
okay, just hit some enters. Boom, even better idea. Perfect.
So each location. So this is one of my favorite parts. That's why I brought it up, is because to me, the locations helped me so much. When I'm writing an adventure, I always have a problem with making my encounters take place in these flat square rooms. They're boring, right? So what if we give you a location that just has sights, sounds, and sensations? This can be any shape. This can be anywhere in the dungeon, but the Altar of Sorrow. It gives you gray box text. A simple slab of rough-hewn stone dominates an alcove in this entrance chamber, while stairs lead deeper into the tomb itself. Boom. That's all you read. Now, the player says, what do you want to know about this place?
So, okay, so, you know, it's rough-hewn stone. It's an alcove. This is probably, in this adventure, this is going to be where I'm coming in. We walk in, and I say, all right, you know, I do a perception check to look around here to see, you know, maybe has this, like, tell me a little bit more about it. I'm trying to get a sense of if this is lived in, if this is not lived in. If
sure.
This is...
Give me a roll. And what we'll do is we'll do, what we'll do is specifically, since you're looking around, let's do an intelligence check. Anything like history or anything like that.
I don't have my character sheet in front of me, but I rolled an 11.
All right, an 11. So we'll say that we're around, so you do like a +3 to that.
Perfect.
So like a 14. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, as I'm explaining the lore I want to drop on him, I'm going to pepper in some sensations.
Yeah, because I asked that question trying not to read what was actually there.
Sure.
Like, this isn't loaded. I was just like, that's what I would do as a character.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, as you look around, the cold air bites constantly, stealing all of your warmth. You hear a plethora of ice crystals crunching as you move under your boots. They cover everything. And what you know is that these yellowed bones of various shapes and sizes look to be ritualistically carved, and you know that it is a ritual of the locals to ward off evil.
So Tim just generated, quote unquote, gray box text by just giving him an idea. This is another example of you're not rolling randomly. So you're not like, and then the yellowed bones were chewed by badgers with hurt legs. Like, it doesn't, you do need to add a little bit of what we call the glue to it.
Sure.
But the idea is, by using that, and based on other decisions you've made earlier, you can pepper that in, you know, okay, the ritual might be something else if there are cultists. But the idea is you have the details in front of you kind of bulleted to really bring your players into it, but also pepper in your own campaign world or quest or whatever it might be.
Yep, and that you can do with like customizing any of this stuff. So for instance, this scraps of parchment with words denouncing the Frozen King and his reign, you just swap in an insignia from a local lord that maybe they had an encounter with a few episodes ago, a few sessions ago.
And if you've rolled trinkets as well,
sure.
Maybe basically if you have built this room using the kit and you've rolled trinkets and maybe a trap and other things, totally. You'll pepper those things as well. If they rolled high enough on this, perception check, maybe they see the trap and you describe that based on the other part there, that's written in your notes.
Yep.
And that's what makes it feel different, even though every Altar of Sorrow is going to be the room Altar of Sorrow. Obviously, there's not a sign, so you won't call it that. But the idea is they're different for each location, which means that having this trinket and this monster and this trap in this room is different than the next location where the NPC meets them, where there's this other sights and sounds.
Totally. And so there are 6 of these. But as you work through the different things that the players explore, well, what else do I see? Well, you see scraps of parchment with words denouncing the Frozen King and his reign. And in the distance, as though behind you, you hear whispers from an unseen place. They haunt this location. And you occasionally hear weeping and wailing as though coming from down the hall. Boom, that's all right here.
Because exactly, like it's all right, and you can just use what you need to use. So that is one of the 6 locations that's going to be in the book.
Exactly.
And as well as the toolbox and everything else we've covered, that's all the stuff that you're going to get in this adventure kit. So like we said, go down into the dungeon or the comments, as most people call them, or the description, and you can see the Kickstarter link. $10 gets you a digital version of the book. $25 gets you a physical version, and we have a few other pledge levels with a few other cool things you can get. If you're interested in backing Oath of the Frozen King, we have 24 days left, so there is plenty of time. But sooner rather than later, I think is better.
Totally.
There's something else I wanted to say. I don't remember what. Maybe other things that are going to happen. I don't remember the days of those, but we have our friend Nate from WASD20 is going to be running a game using the adventure kit. Do you remember what day that is?
It is. I think it's this Saturday.
In front of me. I'm sorry.
I think it's this coming Saturday.
Possibly this Saturday. Next week, or I think next week, we're going to have an interview with Matt Click from our company, one of our partners. He's going to be on the Nerdarchy YouTube channel doing an interview. Mm-hmm. If you want to hear everything you possibly can about the adventure kit, I mean, you can follow this thing. You'll see links to these things and updates on Kickstarter. So it'll be hard to miss them if you're following us. But what else?
That's pretty much it. I appreciate everybody sitting through. We had upwards of 40 people the whole stream. We will continue to do videos. I know what I'll do is I'll hop on, and I'm going to just continue on the channel to just do one thing at a time. Like I'll hop on and real quick I'll go, hey, we're going to generate an encounter from the Oath of the Frozen King toolbox, or just basically use the toolbox all this month, so that even if you don't back us, even if you don't pledge, there's still cool stuff you can use in your game, and you can run it anyway. Because one of the things that's important to us is that you're a part of the family, and if you don't want to back this, we still love that you're a part. We still are happy to have you. Check out the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group. It's a really dynamic and positive social. It's an anomaly. I almost didn't say that, but it really is. It's so positive there.
It really is.
Hop in, be a part, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Exactly. There's a lot of inspiring stuff going on there. If you're interested in playing with people online or seeing how people do that, you can see games there. You can just ask inspirational questions, comment on other people's stuff, and it's just a really nurturing community of people that have just come together around a love of RPGs, and it's really cool to see. I mean, it's amazing. We engage just as much as everybody else because it's just, I get inspiration from there. I'll post inspiration there. It's really awesome.
It's awesome. You're awesome. Thank you for watching. We are grateful, I think, more than anything, that you're a part of Absolute Tabletop. You're a part of Tabletop Terrors. And if it wasn't for you, we'd just be 2 guys talking in a room, living a sham with a sheet pinned to the wall. So thanks. We hope that you swear your oath to the Frozen King on our Kickstarter. But either way, until next time, may your dice roll high.